it is imperative that we as a House stand and condemn whichever brutality comes from the police, because it is the unit, the force that we've been entrusted with the security and safeguarding national interest. Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me also to weigh in on the matter of attacking worshippers, Mr. Speaker. In the 21st century, it is indeed very sad, Mr. Speaker. It does not matter which side of political divide you are in, but you cannot subject our families, kids, women, and old men into this kind of torture, into this kind of tormentation, because we are far, Mr. Speaker, away from that kind of politics. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, it is also important to look at the structural training that we give our police unit. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that we need to look at the training that we give. 9 months in Kiganjo, Mr. Speaker, and then no other training, Mr. Speaker, is too little. We must therefore, Mr. Speaker, embark on retooling like we are doing with the teachers, retooling our police so that they know they are not only a force, but they are a service that is supposed to help the common mwananchi. And as my colleague has said here, in the journey to go to Singapore, Mr. Speaker, we must do away with police brutality. Mr. Speaker, I support.
Senator Munyihaji.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii kuchangia maombi ya taarifa yaliyoletwa bungeni na Seneta wa Nandi, Seneta Cherargei. Mheshimiwa Spika, ukatili wa polisi imekuwa ni jambo la kawaida katika nchi yetu, na mwaka huu kumekuwa na matukio mawili ambayo yanaonyesha kwamba ukatili huu unaendelea katika nchi yetu, licha ya kwamba tuna katiba mpya, licha ya kwamba tuna taasisi huru ya kusimamia mambo ya polisi, na licha ya kwamba nchi tayari ilikuwa imekemea swala hili hapo nyuma. Mheshimiwa Spika, kitendo kilichotokea kule sehemu za Nandi ambapo vijana walikuwa wanajivinjari na kucheza mchezo wa pool ni kitendo cha kinyama sana. Hayo maswala kwamba mtu atembee na kitambulisho ni maswala yalipitwa na wakati, Mheshimiwa Spika. Hiyo ilikuwa ni wakati wa kabla ya uhuru, ndipo hapo walikuwa wanatembea na kibali ama kipande kile, ukiulizwa na polisi unaonesha kipande chako. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, ipo haja ya waziri muhusika kuja katika bunge hili na kuweza kueleza ni sababu gani unyama ama ukatili wa polisi unaendelea katika nchi yetu, wakati tuna katiba ambayo inatoa uhuru kwa wananchi, inatoa uhuru kwa watu walioko katika nchi hii kufanya mambo yao bila matatizo yote. Mheshimiwa Spika, masuala mengine kama yale ya kule Nyeri Othaya ambapo risasi za vitoa machozi vilitupwa katika kanisa ni mambo ya kusikitisha kwa wakati huu. Mheshimiwa Spika, tumeona kwamba bado polisi wetu licha ya kwamba wameweza kupewa mtaala mpya wa kusoma, wameweza kufundishwa sheria mpya, lakini bado wana ile fikra za kikoloni kwamba yeye lazima akufanyie unyama wewe kama raia. Mheshimiwa Spika, mengi yanatendeka sehemu nyingi ambazo hayatokei katika vyombo vya habari wala hayaelezwi katika social media. Kwa Mheshimiwa Spika, naunga mkono statement hii, na komiti husika lazima ilivalie njuga jambo hili, waweze kuhakikisha kwamba wanapata ukweli wa mambo haya, na wale ambao walidhulumiwa wameweza kupewa ridhaa, na wale polisi ambao walitenda kitendo hicho cha kinyama waweze kuchukuliwa hatua za kisheria. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
Senator Abbas.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to also join my colleagues to support the statement of Senator for Nandi. Honorable Speaker, well, I think I am not surprised because I come from a state where it became a police state. And it's the order of the day for police harassment, and we have taken it normal. But it's good to hear that today the same thing is happening in Nandi. Honorable Speaker, you'll be surprised. The Kenyan police, actually, the way they act is so unfortunate that the police officers are supposed to be friendly. That's why Kenyans who are affected or who have problems should run to. But but not to run away from the police stations and police officers. Honorable Speaker, I came from Wajir and also I want to travel to Nairobi. In every stage where you pass, the buses and the vehicles traveling are stopped, inspected. The passengers have been told to drop their bags. And it's actually, you get surprised that where are we? Are we really in a state of a police state or really an independent country like Kenya? Honorable Speaker, I think our police needs to be retrained. And if needs to be, we think we need to have new police officers because they seem to not be appreciating their work. Because the other day I was shocked when I saw young kids and mamas in the church being tear gassed. This is actually very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. Those people are innocent. We may be looking for one individual and we have trying to harass people there. I was also shocked when I saw hooded people. I don't know who they were. I don't know whether they were bandits, whether they were officers. You know, damaging very expensive cars where bullets have been hit in the engines, you know. Very, very expensive cars. I think that kind of situation cannot be allowed in this country. Honorable Speaker, I think it's a high time this House takes these challenges and I invite all the leaders of the police officers, the minister, at least to say why people in a church or in a mosque should be tear gassed, especially where their children there. There are mamas who are even pregnant. Hey, mamas. So I think it's a high time that you must have some human faces. The police officers must be welcoming. You know, you get surprised when you're traveling, you see 100 and many police officers and traffic officers along the roads. You wonder, instead of having all those officers there, why don't they take them to northern Kenya, take them to Turkana where the bandits are, so they can go and fight and save the Kenyans? Thank you so much, Speaker.
Senator Sek.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I also join my colleagues on this issue from Senator Cherargei, where we have a problem on this, the Kenya police and even the harassment and brutality of Kenyans. Honorable Speaker, I have an incident in my county where just recently we had a problem where police killed one citizen of Kajiado, and another young man also is seated now. He's right now in the hospital, in the ICU. It is a big issue which has been a problem in the whole country. Honorable Speaker, as I joined my colleagues to condole this issue and even to say that how the Kenyans can be saved in this police brutality, Honorable Speaker, I don't know how we can really bring this to an end, because it seems like they have a direction, or they have a directives. Kenya police have a directives. The IG seems not to be very cognizant to what is happening to Kenyans, and we are losing young men, people, this republic, and there is no, it seems like that nothing is happening, Honorable Speaker. I don't know if it will be enough for the committee to sit down with the IG, the DCI, the NIS and whatever, all the national security personnel, but I think this is something that has been a big problem. I don't know if it has been given a directive from more office than the one from the IG, but we don't know who is giving directives, Honorable Speaker, to kill Kenyans. We don't know. It is a problem. It's a nuisance. It is something that we cannot understand, because in a scenario where we have a problem in Kajiado, in a place in Kitengela, one of the restaurants in Kajiado, just police officers just, shoot young men who are just taking their own, leisure times in a pub, without even any directives, without any problem. And up to now, none of them has been arrested. The same case to where we sometimes when we've seen when the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua attended her church service. There is a lot of problems, and I think much will be done by the committee. But
Senator Omtata.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise to support both motions, both statements. On the first statement by Senator Cherargei, I think we should look at the entire architecture of the militarization of the Kenya Police. When you look at the origins of the Kenya Police, it began off as an occupation force to dominate, control, and oppress the local population. That culture has not been removed. At independence, the same culture remained, and you will see that it seems to have gotten worse when when the KDF invaded Somalia. The Kenya Police began acquiring a militaristic character. If you look at our police today, they are attired in jungle attire. When the Inspector General of Police came to this house, he was wearing fatigues, military fatigues, jungle fatigues. That militarization of the police needs to be addressed so that the police can go back to a civilian force, not an occupation force. And that's where the problem lies. We must look at that issue, because if you saw what happened in Nandi, it was an expression of oppression and domination and control. So the police are not supposed to be controlling, oppressing, and doing all those kind of things. So we need to go back and look at the systemic issues that make our police so militarized in their approach to issues and not to be civil. Regarding education, there are so many kids not going to school. There's a challenge, like there's no money in this country. And that is not something that is an act of God. It's an act of the Kenya Kwanza government. This government has made sure that people do not have disposable income by imposing unnecessary taxes, which when that money is collected, is then repatriated to go and pay odious debts. So we need to come down and address the question of taxation in this country so that there can be disposable income for families to run around. You find so many people not going to school today because the middle class in Kenya subsidizes the state. They send M-Pesa to pay bills for hospital, they send M-Pesa to help school fees, and so forth. Now, when these people, when the pay slips are stripped of disposable income, these people are not able to play the critical role they've been playing of keeping the society going. So it's the tax regime that has been imposed by the Kenya Kwanza government that's at the heart of the lack of money in people's pockets, the failure to take kids to school, and etc. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Osotsi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to also raise my concern about the harassment of youth by police officers in Nandi Hills. Mr. Speaker, it's so unfortunate that this police force that Kenyans have tried their best to make it a service through the Constitution of 2010. Mr. Speaker, this police force, even with the investment to make it a reformed force, it is getting worse and worse. A situation where police officers can get into a private club and beat up the youth or do all manner of things, Mr. Speaker. This is not something that should be happening in this country, Mr. Speaker. These are things that have happened in failed states, not in a democratic state like Kenya. And Mr. Speaker, maybe we need to go back and ask ourselves, the police force that we wanted, the police service that we wanted, the police service that we even put in the Constitution and say this police service commission is going to be independent. Even we put there IPOA, which is supposed to oversight the police service commission, and nothing seems to be working. We must ask ourselves why. Why is the police not able to serve Kenyans well and serve Kenyans as a service and not a force? I think that is a big question that we need to ask, because we have cases like these ones, many across the country, Mr. Speaker. You saw the other day police entering a church and throwing tear gas in churches. The other day you saw police trying to stop meetings. But Mr. Speaker, I want to say this weekend, me and Senator Nairobi, Senator Sifuna, we applauded the police in Busia, Mr. Speaker, because the governor of Busia tried to stop our meeting in Busia town. And the people said, we will have the meeting. And the police were there to escort us very peacefully. And the police were there to give us protection. I think in the midst of all this, let me also thank the police for the conduct of Sunday, when they welcomed us in Busia, when they protected us, and when they guided us to the venue of our meeting. That is the force that this country needs, not a police force or a police service that is there to harm.
Next order, clerk.
Order number 8, procedural motion, limitation of debate on motions.
The Senate Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that pursuant to Standing Order 111, the Senate resolve that debate on a motion not sponsored by the majority or minority party or committee shall be limited in the following manner: a maximum of 3 hours with not more than 20 minutes for the mover, 20 minutes for the majority party official responder, 20 minutes for the minority party official responder, and 15 minutes for each other senator speaking. And further, that 15 minutes before the time expires, the mover shall be called upon to reply. I move. Seconder. Honorable Sigay.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion. And while I second the motion, Mr. Speaker, I wish to appreciate the limitation of time to the extent of members being allowed to take certain timeline because of the business that is existing in the House, and for purposes of ensuring that we also are able to transact whatever businesses that are placed in order paper or which are placed before the House within a reasonable timeline. And Mr. Speaker, I beg to support.
Now, honorable senators, I will now propose the question. Senator Wakoli, take your seat. Now, pursuant to Standing Order 111.1, the Senate resolves that debate on a motion not sponsored by the majority or minority party or a committee shall be limited in the following manner: a maximum of 3 hours with not more than 20 minutes for the mover, 20 minutes for the majority party official responder, 20 minutes for the minority party official responder, and 15 minutes for each other senator speaking. And further, that 15 minutes before the time expires, the mover shall be called upon to reply. Now, honorable senators, this is a procedural motion. With your concurrence, I may proceed to put the question so that you can vote on the same. Do I have your concurrence? Yes. Clerk, do you have quorum? So ring the quorum bell, Sergeant at Arms. for 10 minutes.
Clerk, please continue ringing the quorum bell for another 5 minutes. Order, honorable members. Senator Ledama, take your seat. Senator Kajwang, take your seat. Senator Okinyuri, take your seat. Now, honorable senators, having attained the quorum, I will proceed to put the question that pursuant to Standing Order 1111, the Senate resolves that debate on a motion not sponsored by the majority or minority party or a committee shall be limited in the following manner. A maximum of 3 hours with not more than 20 minutes for the mover, 20 minutes for the majority party official responder, 20 minutes for the minority party official responder, and 15 minutes for each other senator speaking. And further, that 15 minutes before the time expires, the mover shall be called upon to reply. Now, honorable senators, will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Clerk, we move to the next order.
Order number 9, procedural motion. Limitation of debate on adjournment motion.
Senate Majority Leader.
Order, members. I beg Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I beg to move that notwithstanding the provisions of Standing Order 1114, the debate on any motion for the adjournment of the Senate to a day other than the next normal sitting day in accordance with the calendar of the Senate shall be limited to a maximum of 2 hours with not more than 15 minutes for each senator speaking, after which the Senate shall adjourn without question put, provided that when the period of recess proposed by any such motion does not exceed 9 calendar days, the debate shall be limited to a maximum of 30 minutes and shall be confined to the question of adjournment. I beg to move and request Honorable Cheregei, now that you are on your feet, to proceed.
Mr. Speaker, as I beg to second, and since this is a procedural motion and colleagues to have time to vote on it, we can dispose and proceed to other matters on the order paper. I think these are very important. This is a procedural matter as per our standing orders. Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, I beg to second. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senate Majority Leader, Senator Ledama, please take your seat. Honorable Senators, this being also a procedural motion, I will proceed to just propose the question that notwithstanding to provisions of Standing Order 114, the debate on any motion for the adjournment of the Senate to a day other than the next normal sitting day, in accordance with the calendar of the Senate, shall be limited to a maximum of 2 hours with not more than 15 minutes for each senator speaking, after which the Senate shall adjourn without question put, provided that when the period of recess proposed by any such motion does not exceed 9 calendar days, the debate shall be limited to a maximum of 30 minutes and shall be confined to the question of adjournment. As I have alluded, honorable senators, with your concurrence, I will proceed to put the question because this is another procedural motion, just like the previous one we dealt with. I believe we are in concurrence. I will proceed then, honorable senators, to put the question that notwithstanding the provisions of Standing Order 114, the debate on any motion for the adjournment of the Senate to a day other than the next normal sitting day, in accordance with the calendar of the Senate, shall be limited to a maximum of 2 hours with not more than 15 minutes for each senator speaking, after which the Senate shall adjourn without question put, provided that when the period of recess proposed by any such motion does not exceed 9 calendar days, the debate shall be limited to a maximum of 30 minutes and shall be confined to the question of adjournment. Now, honorable members, will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Clerk may call the next order.
Order number 10, procedural motion. Limitation of debate on the motion on the President's address to Parliament.
Senate Majority Leader, proceed to move.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that pursuant to Standing Order 27.6, the Senate resolve that the debate on the motion on the President's address to Parliament shall be limited to a maximum of 3 sitting days with not more than 15 minutes for each senator speaking, excluding the mover in moving and replying, who shall be limited to 30 minutes in either case, and that the Senate Majority Leader and Senate Minority Leader shall be limited to 30 minutes each. I beg to move and request Honorable Cheregei to second.
Mr. Speaker, this is another straightforward motion, and as I rise to second, is as per our standing orders, Mr. Speaker, this will increase efficiency, efficacy, and effectiveness of the House to be able to transact most of these motions in good time and in line with our standing orders as anchored in Article 123 of the Constitution of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, I beg to second.
Honorable senators, I now propose the question that pursuant to Standing Order 27.6, the Senate resolves that the debate on the motion on the President's address to Parliament shall be limited to a maximum of 3 sitting days with not more than 15 minutes for each senator speaking, excluding the mover in moving and replying, who shall be limited to 30 minutes in either case, and that the Senate Majority Leader and the Senate Minority Leader shall be limited to 30 minutes each. Honorable senators, similarly, this being a procedural motion, with your concurrence, I will proceed to put the question. Now, pursuant to Standing Order 84.1, honorable members, this matter does not affect counties, and I will proceed to put the question that pursuant to Standing Order 27.6, the Senate resolves that the debate on the motion on the President's address to Parliament shall be limited to a maximum of 3 sitting days with not more than 15 minutes for each senator speaking, excluding the mover in moving and replying, who shall be limited to 30 minutes in either case, and that the Senate Majority Leader and the Senate Minority Leader shall be limited to 30 minutes each. Now, will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Clerk, proceed to call the next order.
Order number 11, procedural motion. Referral of statutory instruments and papers submitted during recess.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to move that the Senate resolves that during the short and long recess of the 5th session of the 13th Parliament, where any statutory instrument or paper is transmitted for tabling in the Senate, and the Speaker determines that the statutory instrument or paper is of priority, the Speaker shall forthwith refer the statutory instrument or paper to the relevant committee for consideration, and the statutory instrument or paper shall be deemed to have been tabled before the Senate, and the Speaker shall report the statutory instrument or paper to the Senate and cause the statutory instrument to be tabled in the Senate in accordance with the provisions of Section 11 of the Statutory Instrument Act number 3 of 2023, and the paper to be tabled before the Senate at its next sitting. I request Senator Cheregei to rise and move.
To second.
And second, Honorable Speaker, sorry.
Mr. Speaker, as I second, I am impressed with the efficiency of the Senate Majority Whip. I saw even on the weekend when they were barring Professor Samba, although he was being intimidated, but he stood his ground. We are proud of what you are doing. Mr. Speaker, this is another procedural motion, especially on issues of Statutory Instruments Act. I think as a House, we have made a decision that is very clear, that those statutory instruments must come to the floor of the Parliament and be approved. We have seen ministers and other people who have power to create instruments trying to bypass Parliament. Mr. Speaker, this is a warning that they should not, they should follow the law. Mr. Speaker, since this is a procedural motion and anchored under Article 124 on powers of the committees and standing orders, I beg to second. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Senators, I now propose the question that the Senate resolves that during the short and long recesses of the 5th session of the 13th Parliament, where any statutory instrument or paper is transmitted for tabling in the Senate, and the Speaker determines that the statutory instrument or paper is of priority, the Speaker shall forthwith refer the statutory instrument or paper to the relevant committee for consideration, and the statutory instrument or paper shall be deemed to have been tabled before the Senate, and the Speaker shall report the statutory instrument or paper to the Senate and cause the statutory instrument to be tabled in the Senate in accordance with the provisions of Section 11 of the Statutory Instruments Act, Act number 3 of 2023, and the paper to be tabled before the Senate at its next sitting. Honorable members, similarly, this is also a statutory motion, a procedural motion, and I, with your concurrence, will proceed to put the question. Having also determined that this matter does not affect counties, I will proceed to put the question that the Senate resolves that during the short and long recesses of the 5th session of the 13th Parliament, where any statutory instrument or paper is transmitted for tabling in the Senate, and the Speaker determines that the statutory instrument or paper is of priority, the Speaker shall forthwith refer the statutory instrument or paper to the relevant committee for consideration, and the statutory instrument or paper shall be deemed to have been tabled before the Senate, and the Speaker shall report the statutory instrument or paper to the Senate and cause the statutory instrument to be tabled in the Senate in accordance with the provisions of Section 11 of the Statutory Instruments Act, Act number 3 of 2023, and the paper to be tabled before the Senate at its next sitting. Now, honorable members, will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Clerk, call the next order.
Order number 12, the Kenya National Council for Population and Development Bill, National Assembly Bills number 72 of 2023. Second reading.
Senate Majority Leader.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the Kenya National Council for Population and Development Bill 2023 be now read a second time. Mr. Speaker, this is a very important bill. This bill is a National Assembly bill, actually, number 72 of 2023, which our colleagues in the National Assembly have considered and duly now forwarded here to the Senate for consideration. Mr. Speaker, this bill, by and large, in a nutshell, seeks to establish properly in statute this state corporation. As it is today, this government agency is actually set up only under legal notice. I think legal notice number 12 of 2004. And it's a very important government agency, Mr. Speaker. You know that population is not a very small matter in this country. There has been controversy. Even as we speak today, Mr. Speaker, you know that the last census of 2019, I think, certain sections of it were actually successfully challenged in court. And today, even as we do division of revenue and government planning and all those things, Mr. Speaker, many of those things actually are just being guided by, I think, guesswork. Because what do you do in the sense that a population census has been carried out, challenged in court, Mr. Speaker, and I'm disappointed that there were no sanctions to the particular officers. If the court was convinced that either figures were inflated or the census was not carried out accordingly, Mr. Speaker, then the duty-bound officers, the people who undertook that exercise, if the court indeed agreed, Mr. Speaker, that there was interference from mandarins from I don't know where, Mr. Speaker, then there should have been sanctions on those public officers. You know, the problem in this country, Mr. Speaker, is that there are never sanctions for individuals who bungle public exercises. You will cancel an election, you will cancel maybe a title that was allotted, you will cancel a certain transaction, but there has never been a decision. And I wish that we had more bold judges in our judiciary who will actually look at civil servants who participate in such exercises that end up costing taxpayers money and send them to jail, so that people begin to appreciate that when you are charged with the responsibility of being a public officer, Mr. Speaker, you take it seriously and do justice in the interest of the people. Mr. Speaker, that was just a small deviation, because I thought about the people that come specifically, say, from those counties that are affected by the ruling on the population census of 2019, Mr. Speaker, and the anxiety and injustice that they continue to suffer today, so long as the government has never provided remedial measures on how to resolve that particular matter. And the courts also, in their wisdom or lack of it, as they say, Mr. Speaker, never gave direction actually on how that matter needs to be handled, or at least none that I'm aware of. Probably, maybe it may have been spoken. It's not a matter that I've followed closely to the detail. Therefore, this council, Mr. Speaker, is a very important council, because, like we said, Senate as a house and the national government needs to pay close attention to this. Each time we discuss the annual division of revenue, and more particularly once every 5 years, Mr. Speaker, when we do the basis for revenue sharing across a county, we look at all these matrices, including population survey, Mr. Speaker, poverty index, and all these matters. The information that we use, Mr. Speaker, is provided for us by credible government agencies like Kenya Bureau of Statistics, Mr. Speaker, and Kenya National Bureau of Statistics and such agencies. This will be one such agency, Mr. Speaker, where on matters to do with population survey and development, they will have a say. But, Mr. Speaker, it's my hope that their research and findings and studies will not just gather dust in government offices. You know, Mr. Speaker, I am proud of the work that this House, and it's only that people don't follow the work of Senate quite closely. It was this House, Mr. Speaker, that made a decision in 2016, for example. Previously, you know, on conditional grants, Senator Kajwang may remember this, that somebody will sit at Treasury and allocate projects haphazardly without no basis or reference to any particular order. It took the decision of this Senate, Mr. Speaker, through their Finance Committee to say no to the National Treasury and decide that there has to be a structured way in which conditional grants are sent equally and equitably to all the 47 counties of the country. That is a kind of decision-making that we expect from bodies such as this, Mr. Speaker, that their decisions will lead us actually so that you have a fully prosperous country, Mr. Speaker, without due consideration to any other political affiliation. The unfortunate thing, Mr. Speaker, is that for the last 60 years, and this is a reality which nobody can challenge, is that there is a clear indication that regions that have produced either presidents or senior government officials have benefited unduly to the exclusion of regions, certain regions of the country. It is because we have not mastered the art, Mr. Speaker, of looking our country as an entire unit, that we still consider that even matters development, Mr. Speaker, are issues of political considerations. And it is a difficult conversation which, unfortunately, the country must have. Even now, as we speak today, you know, there has been a very ugly spat of late, led by a very incompetent fellow that we kicked out by an impeachment vote in this House, Mr. Speaker, trying to besmirch, Mr. Speaker, the leadership from Northern Kenya. Mr. Speaker, that debate cannot be had in full without due consideration of where the entire 100% of the budget has gone over the years, Mr. Speaker. We can speak about CDF. You can speak about equitable share, Mr. Speaker, but that is barely 20%. What about the 80%, Mr. Speaker? That is a conversation that needs to be had as a country, looking at Kenya as an entire republic and knowing that there are regions that have been undermined by successive regimes, Mr. Speaker, and that is why we have all those details. In this bill, Mr. Speaker, because I mentioned that this bill actually is one to anchor this board in law, Mr. Speaker, so that they do all those things, responsibilities that have been listed, Mr. Speaker, asking this board what are the objectives, for example, of the council, which is to be the focal point on matters relating to population and development, develop and review and coordinate implementation of national population policy at regular intervals. Mr. Speaker, I don't like the language that is used here. I have to be precise. And I hope the committee that looks into this matter, I don't know which committee will eventually, I think this must be Labour, and I saw Senator Murgor earlier, but he's not here, Mr. Speaker. They must get the submissions from, Mr. Speaker, the national government on which body will eventually carry out the national census, and what will be then the responsibility of this board, Mr. Speaker, complete with clarity, because the language that is used here doesn't provide specificity on this particular topic, Mr. Speaker. Because when you say you are a focal point, Mr. Speaker, what do you mean? What is the relationship between this and KNBS, Mr. Speaker? Will they do it jointly? Will one oversight the other? What is the relation, Mr. Speaker? These are matters which I hope by the time we are doing the third reading of this bill, the Labour Committee will have guided us as a House to properly understand the placing of this council, Mr. Speaker, complete with all the reason that the members of this council requested. Mr. Speaker, Section 8, not 8 actually, Section 9 is where I want to spend a little bit of time. Actually 8, Mr. Speaker. There must be a different way of doing things. Many times when bills come to this House, the national government, true to its function, and I have said the state law office, and it's unfortunate because that is an office where the heart and the breadth of this constitution, Mr. Speaker, should be more alive than any other institution. But matters devolution are dead at the state law office. And this is something that I have raised with none other than the Attorney General on many occasions. If you see how they draft this legislation, Mr. Speaker, when you read the list of the members of this board, you can clearly see that this is not somebody who appreciates that there are two levels of government. And I don't know what it will take for the drafters of such legislation, Mr. Speaker, who sit at the national drafting desk, at the State Law Office, Mr. Speaker, to appreciate that there are two levels of government. When you send us a bill, of course they know that many times they will be lucky to skim through if particularly a determination is made that that bill does not concern counties and therefore it's considered by our colleagues in the National Assembly. And I also don't know up to when our colleagues in the National Assembly will learn to live and appreciate that there are two levels of government, despite the fact, Mr. Speaker, because there has been an erroneous interpretation that so long as a matter touches on devolution, it is of no concern to the National Assembly. It's quite unfortunate, Mr. Speaker, because all these members of the National Assembly, they come from certain counties. By continuously undermining devolution, Mr. Speaker, and being supported by our colleagues in the National Assembly who pass laws such as this, because this bill has already gone through the 349 members of the National Assembly, and none has been able to pick out and say, you cannot constitute such a board in the 21st century in a country where we have the 2010 Constitution, Mr. Speaker. It tells you that many of them don't exercise their mind appropriately to appreciate, Mr. Speaker, that there is an important role that our devolved units carry on and for on behalf of the people of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, this board eventually, when the Committee on Labor sits on this particular, I expect that they will rejig it properly, Mr. Speaker, ensure that there is good representation of our county governments, including the various agencies and institutions that appreciate the 2010 Constitution and how it's supposed to work. Otherwise, this continuous drafting, because you can clearly see that many of these bills, Mr. Speaker, somebody lazily sits on their desk, Mr. Speaker, approves, edits, copies and pastes, Mr. Speaker, and concludes on that particular business. Mr. Speaker, when I refer to the State Law Office, don't get very worried. I know you have close relations in that particular office, but I know she works in a different office, not this particular one. This is a different one, because I have seen how you're looking at me when I mentioned the State Law Office, Mr. Speaker. This is a different one who needs to, and in fact, at the next conference, where we bring together national government and the Senate, the AG needs to address us specifically on this particular matter and the refusal by her officers to appreciate the fact that 2010 Constitution radically changed institutions and how they are represented. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, that is something that needs to be done. You know, Part H is an interesting one. There are 3 persons who shall be nominated by the Forum of Religious Organization, consisting of the Secretary General of Supreme 4, Council of Kenya Muslims, Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops, Hindu, National Christian Churches of Kenya and Evangelical Alliance, provided that not more than one shall be appointed by the Cabinet Secretary from one organization. It's okay. At least this is a bit descriptive because it speaks to the Muslims through SUPKEM and the various major denominations of the Christian faith, which is the Catholics, the Evangelicals Alliance, Mr. Speaker, and the Hindu Council, Mr. Speaker. But I don't think we have reached here, Mr. Speaker, where we can define, because you know this country very well, and I have nothing against Catholics like Omtata. I know he's a member of the Catholic faith and maybe many others. But when you compare one of the major denominations to the exclusions of the other, the Anglicans, for example, might arise in protest. I don't know which church Senator Kajwang goes to, Mr. Speaker. Oh, he's an Adventist, yes, I've just remembered. For example, the Adventist is a very major denomination with churches spread across the country. I don't know what is the total population of the Adventists vis-a-vis the Catholics, the Anglicans, for example. Therefore, this proposal that is being put here to mention a specific church denomination, Mr. Speaker, may give us trouble. Unless we had a religious council that will give us the censors to establish. I prefer the previous mode of drafting because we have done other laws, the IBC law and so many others, where we have just left it to the interreligious council to sit down amongst themselves and make a determination. But to pick a specific major denomination, in this instance, the Catholic Church, Mr. Speaker, may put us in trouble with the rest of the denomination. Because, Mr. Speaker, they say to name one is to exclude others. And that is something that we need to perhaps bring a better understanding. And when members of the Labour Committee, I don't know if they're in the House this afternoon, Mr. Speaker, sit to consider that particular matter, that is an item that they need to address this House on, so that we are clear about it, Mr. Speaker, on what is the response by the other religious bodies on that kind of inclusion, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I don't want to belabor the point because, like I had mentioned, the rest are actually statutory matters about the responsibilities of the Director General, the Corporation Secretary, Mr. Speaker, and the usual stuff about within a period of 3 months from the end of financial year, submit to the Auditor General, the Council, statements and the rest, Mr. Speaker, and all these other things that continue, Mr. Speaker, to form part and parcel of our legislative forming duties. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, it's a good bill, important, but there are various areas of concern which I have raised, Mr. Speaker, that I hope that when Labour Committee sits to consider this bill, they can furnish us with a good report. This is quite important, given the issues that have surrounded, Mr. Speaker, distribution of resources across the country. You know, for example, Mr. Speaker, that today, as we sit here, much as we did for the county governments, the issue of conditional grants, our colleagues in the National Assembly have never made a similar pronouncement on national issues, Mr. Speaker, particularly where public officers have the discretion to determine where to place certain government projects, Mr. Speaker. What is the guiding factor in making that particular decision? There are many times, Mr. Speaker, where you find an officer sits at a government office because they come from Kericho, then they determine, they're supposed to be built something here. You take it to Kericho. Sometimes even programs that have got absolutely nothing to do with the regions that they come from, but out of just this desire, wanting to maybe be popular or I don't know, do what, many institutions actually, and there are regions that have suffered under that kind of political patronage over the years, Mr. Speaker. The Ministry of Health, I don't know which other ministry, Mr. Speaker, National Treasury as well. This council will address such matters, Mr. Speaker, and it is important that we give it the sufficient powers to ensure that we spread development evenly across the country. With those many remarks, Mr. Speaker, I beg to move and request the Senator for Nandi, Senator Samson Cherargei to second.
Senator Cherargei, as you take the mic, the Leader of Majority, I take comfort in the assurance that you gave as regards those who are doing the drafting from the Office of the Attorney General and their responsibility to make sure they do the right thing. I'm sure the AG is listening and will definitely take responsibility in future legislations that come to this House. Senator Fonandi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I rise to second this bill, this very critical bill, I want to pick it from where the Majority Leader was ably moved the bill to make a few observations, because the rest of the bill is more of cleanup. I think what is happening in the State Law Office is just to reset the old way into doing new things in terms of recognition. Majority Leader, it's important to note that most of the bills, for a number of years we have been with you together, we have noted that they always exclude the role of devolution. I don't think this is the first bill, but I hope you can escalate maybe to intergovernmental and other engagement through Senate Business Committee and leadership. That is, I want to confirm to you, Majority Leader, that that is the only engagement we'll allow you to do. Any other engagement that was extended by Council of Governors, who are professional gossip club, you should not extend a similar courtesy. But on this one, with the State Attorney General, I think we are with you on this one. So, Speaker, as I say, on population and development is very key. The biggest fight is the fight for resources. The reason, and I'm happy the President is in Northern Kenya for a couple of days, the reason may be part of this country, especially Northern Kenya, which has become the critical and sharp focus of the topical discourse, is because there is an agenda between population and area size. There are people who feel that more resources should be taken to Vihiga as opposed as to Mandera because of population density. There are people who believe that it doesn't make sense to do a road from Wajir, Mandera, Isiolo, all the way to Nairobi. Yet the traffic is not as much like Mau Summit, Rironi. So, Speaker, the conversation surrounds only on population and development. And I remember under Article 215, the role of community has always been based on the population, especially on the fourth basis formula that we passed, was normally based on population, based on land size, Mr. Speaker, and also the poverty index. Mr. Speaker, that is the reason that population is very important, and that is why the anchoring of Kenya National Council for Population and Development Bill 2023 as processed by the National Assembly is critical. Mr. Speaker, secondly, it is estimated by, because the population census, as Majority Leader has put it, was contested in court, but according to World Bank records, the population of Kenya is estimated to be between 50 to 56 million. The projection by 2050, Mr. Speaker, by the World Bank is that Kenya will have a population between 85 million to 97 million who will be in this country by 2050. This, Mr. Speaker, indicates that 44% to 50% of Kenyans will live in urban areas, and that is why the foresight of President William Ruto to do affordable housing in our major centers, especially in our counties. This is the foresight many people who are myopic in their thinking, Mr. Speaker, do not think. Because the projection, almost half of this country's population will living in urban centers. What will they need? Affordable housing, sewerage system, road network, and other basics in life, Mr. Speaker, and security in urban centers. So the foresight of the president in doing affordable housing is perfectly in order. The naysayers, the Sanballat of this era of ours, will not see the value until 2050, when 50% of Kenya's population will be living. Mr. Speaker, the sad news is in China. So, Speaker, according to the World Bank, because I was looking at the comparison, is that China, as of 2022, had a population of 1.426 billion. And I saw one of the biggest cities, a small city, like Mulot, has close to 400 million, Mr. Speaker. Or Chepseon, somewhere in Kericho. Or Oyugis, Mr. Speaker, is running effectively with a population of almost 400 million people, Mr. Speaker. Yet their population in total is 1.426 billion. Mr. Speaker, what is happening in China is a sad story. There is a decline in birth. People are no longer giving birth because of the policy of two-child. Now the government has relaxed. They have said open everything that needs to be open to get more population. But by 2050, the population would have declined to 1.3 billion. In Kenya, the average family size is 6. If you are a senator and you are doing below 6, you are doing badly. That will undermine the growth of, in terms of even resources, Mr. Speaker, development, Mr. Speaker, and even the issue of voting. We are politicians, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, even as we move ahead, and I'm happy, I met Senator Danson Buya Mungatana Mulamwamba, Mr. Speaker, with the endorse. Oh, Doctor. I met Senator Dr. Danson Mungatana somewhere in the city, and I'm happy, and I can confirm to this House, the children he was working with was more than 6. So we want people to follow in the footsteps of Senator Danson Mungatana so that we can have population, we have development, Mr. Speaker, for easy planning, Mr. Speaker.
Senator, wait, I've not given you the mic. You don't seem to catch the speaker's eye, and I'm sure you've noted that this new system do not have a button for intervention. The only way you can catch the eye of the speaker is probably to raise up your hand and or shout. And Senator Kajwang, I noted that you are not at ease when Senator Cherargei was contributing. What is your intervention, Senator Kajwang? Clerk, give Senator Moses Kajwang. Yes, you actually
did. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've sat in this chamber for 10 years, but we seem to be regressing as far as technology is concerned. But my point of order was, as Senator Cherargei seconds this particular bill, is he in order to celebrate Senator Dr. Danson Mungatana for having upwards of 6. I think even my deputy party leader, Senator Osotsi, when we went for his celebration, he introduced his children and said, put a rider, that those are the ones that I know for now. So is he in order to celebrate people like Dr. Mungatana and Senator Osotsi for having many children, when Kenya's population policy aims at reducing the fertility to 2.6 births by 2030. 2.6. And aims at increasing contraceptive usage to 70%. Mr. Speaker, how can Senator Cherargei celebrate a population policy of that nature? That
Senator
population
Kajwang,
policy should be shredded.
Senator Kajwang, take your seat. Senator Cherargei's celebration was to the extent of the number of children that the Honorable Dr. Mungatana had on that particular day they met in the streets. He did not speak to the policy and thereafter. So, Cherargei, proceed to contribute on your point. I rule you out of order, Senator Kajwang. Senator Cherargei, proceed to second the motion.
You know, my chair is in the eye of the storm this week, and it is understandable. But you know, Mr. Speaker, on a lighter note, you know, you cannot disclose the children of a Luya man because they are never known. They are all over like the Abraham season. So, Mr. Speaker, at least for Senator Dr. Matso Mungatana was, so the deputy party leader I know is my neighbor, and when we went for his celebration, we saw quite a number. Mr. Speaker, Nigeria is doing very well with 359 million. I think what I was referring to is to analysis of Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, Mr. Speaker, where they found in northern part of Kenya, a family has an average of 6 children. Mr. Speaker, this population density will go in hand with development. We must agree, like for example here, Ruiru, the per square kilometer that live in Marsabit and the ones that live in Ruiru is totally different. Within 1 square kilometer, you will get up to population of 12 households per square kilometer, Mr. Speaker. So that is my argument, Mr. Speaker, and the issue of human capital development. I'm happy the World Bank, Mr. Speaker, has recognized that human capital development is very, very important. And to the information of my chair of Public Accounts Committee, China is giving out incentives to get more children as a way of improving so that they can stop declining. I was, Mr. Speaker, with a friend who is a French, and they were telling me the more you give back, the more you get incentives. But I want to discourage the Kenyan government having people like Senator Otsosi, Senator Dr. Mungatana. If you give them incentives, including Okiya Mutata, they might get up to 100 children, which will strain on our hard-earned resources in this country. So, Speaker, finally, because it's a very straightforward matter, or there was a, I don't know whether Senator, through the chair, whether Senator Kajwang was, Akuku Danger was a voter in his county. You should see the value of Akuku Danger because he has more than 100 children. The issue of IMF, Mr. Speaker, the issue of poverty index, this will go hand in hand with population. Mr. Speaker, this council is very critical because they will assist in terms of projection to Commission of Revenue Allocation, Mr. Speaker, to projections and midterm plans by both the national and county governments. Mr. Speaker, I think we will amend at the third reading clause number 8, Mr. Speaker, to ensure counties are and they are able to be part and parcel of this board because we want them to have a fair share. Not the Council of Governors, because, Mr. Speaker, you and me know as lawyers that Council of Governors is not anchored in law. It's basically a club of professional gossip members that they need to transform. And I think those are policy issues, Mr. Speaker, we should be sitting to discuss. They should bring that to anchor. County Assemblies Forum, the SOCAT, AMCA Association, and also Council of Governors, Mr. Speaker. I have seen, Mr. Speaker, because this issue of population and development going on, and I want to inform the majority leader that the governors who are enjoying retreat somewhere in Kilifi, when most of their population are languishing in poverty, including in Kericho, Mr. Speaker, most of them are proposed equitable shareable revenue of 534 billion. And I want to appeal through the majority leader and members of this House, Mr. Speaker, through you, that our Finance and Budget Committee should not meet the Council of Governors to discuss anything in terms of resource allocation until they honor the constitutional obligations in appearing before the Senate committees, Mr. Speaker. That is the only decent way, Mr. Speaker. And my question, Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, why are you afraid to account for? Accountability is part of principles of leadership and integrity by Chapter 6. And Article 10, the rule of law, good governance. Good governance means that you are able to account for the resources you are giving. Mr. Speaker, if you feel the accountability is too much, take a walk, resign. Allow other Kenyans to occupy those offices. Mr. Speaker, even in your house, when I grew up, I used to see my mother oversighting my father. When he goes and sells a cow in Chepterit, there is a place called Chepterit where we sell cows every Wednesday, Mr. Speaker. I used to hear my mother asking my father, where are the proceeds of selling the cow? That is also part of oversight, Mr. Speaker. That is what Senator Ososi is just asking. But now we are escalating to the level of the Mr. Speaker. And I want to confirm to this House, Mr. Speaker, because we are discussing the issue of population and development, that as a committees of the Senate, we shall not be intimidated, we shall not be blackmailed, Mr. Speaker. You cannot buy a Christmas tree in December of 3.6 million, which is worth 120,000 shillings, and you expect us to clap for you or give you standing ovation, like Bungoma did. You cannot do an housewarming party for the Speaker, like what happened in Viga, where Senator Otsosi comes, and you expect the committee to celebrate and give you a clap, Mr. Speaker. You cannot purchase 55.6 million worth of seedlings in Mandera, where drought is ravaging, and you expect the committee to celebrate you, Mr. Speaker. I want to celebrate, Mr. Speaker. I saw, Mr. Speaker, what shocked me is Elgeyo Marakwet County. They have what we call seedlings and biological assets of 274 million, Mr. Speaker. And when we found out, under the financial statements, 274 million, what is it for? We were told it includes semen. You know semen, beguza, the ones that are used to procreate. So we were wondering, how can you put semen as part of the assets? Do you expect us to sit and clap for you? We can, Mr. Speaker. We can. When you come to Nandi, Chepterwe has told hospital, Kobuja Sub-County Hospital has told, Kapsengere Hospital, I know Senator Utsosi knows Kapsengere Hospital has told, Mother and Baby in Kapsabet Town has told, leakages of revenue in Kaimosi Agricultural Training College, leakages of revenue, Mr. Speaker, in Kiborogok Tea Estate. You want us to give standing ovation to governors when they are mismanaging and running down our counties and not taking care of our value, Mr. Speaker. That is very unfortunate, Mr. Speaker. And even in Kericho, where the area governor of Kericho was opening substandard market stalls, Mr. Speaker, with pomp and color, with the governor of Nandi. In fact, the mistake that governor of Kericho did was to benchmark with the worst governor in the history of this republic by the name Governor. How can you invite? I saw, Mr. Speaker, I was embarrassed. And that project was done by World Bank, but it was messaged by the county, Mr. Speaker. In fact, I want to request the Committee of Trade to visit Kericho. I am told, even in Litein town, where he went to put Cabros, the governor, when it floods, there is no drainage. The whole county is turned into river like Nineveh or like Victoria, Mr. Speaker. The stores that are in Kericho town, they don't have even ventilation. They are substandard, Mr. Speaker. I want to request the Trade Committee to visit Kericho County to save our people from the Pharaoh, Mr. Speaker. We must save them. Mr. Speaker, I don't want to go further than that, but to say the rest of clauses I just clean up, and so that I can allow my colleagues to contribute. Mr. Speaker, population and development is very critical. That is what we support, Mr. Speaker. And I know as a lawyer, you know the projections we do as a country. You have seen John Badi, the CS of National Treasury, talking about inflation rate. The population pressure will continue, Mr. Speaker. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, Nairobi is estimated to have a 4 million. Is it 4 million population, Mr. Speaker, if my memory serves me right? That 4 million population, 4 million, is occupying Nairobi, Mr. Speaker. 4 million. What does it mean? It has given pressure on sewerage, roads, water, infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, when you go to Kilimani, in conclusion, and you know all of us live in this city, the potholes that are in Kilimani is shocking. And the people who are destroying roads are people who are doing uprising buildings in Kilimani. So we want to know who approves them. So, Speaker, I want to thank President William Ruto in conclusion because he has come to rescue Nairobi. Because the current governor was running Nairobi into serious. Under Article 187, at least the transfer of functions has been done to ensure national government will assist Nairobi City County in garbage collection because the Governor Sakaja tenure has become unfortunate and a disaster, Mr. Speaker. And I hope the MCS of Nairobi are watching this. We need Nairobi that is functional. We need Nairobi that has access to water. But I want to thank the national government for coming to rescue Nairobi from Sakaja's administration mismanagement in this department. Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, allow me to end there and to second this bill. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Cherargei, on a number of occasions, the Speaker was tempted to remind you of the provisions of Standing Order 120, but even as you submitted, you made several detours under the rule of relevance, but you managed to bring yourself back on track. And it is important, though, to be reminded of that particular standing order. Now, Honorable Senators, I now propose the question that the Kenya National Council for Population and Development Bill, National Assembly Bills number 72 of 2023, be now read a second time. Honorable Senators, this bill is now available for debate. And from my request list, Senator Mugatana Danson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to debate the Kenya National Council for Population and Development Bill, National Assembly Bills number 72 of 2023. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support that this bill be read a second time. Mr. Speaker, when we say that we want now, through this bill, to anchor the gazetted institution, the Population Council, in law, some people think it is just another thing we are doing. I have a practical example, Mr. Speaker. Many years when we were under the Kibaki administration, Mr. Speaker, I personally pushed for the establishment of the Coconut Board. And the Coconut Board was set up through a presidential proclamation, and it was gazetted. But, Mr. Speaker, without a proper law to anchor that institution, with time, Mr. Speaker, and administrations that followed, they were denied budgets, Mr. Speaker. They were not given a proper budget line. As a result, the Coconut Board went on to die a natural death. Mr. Speaker, so when we say that we want to anchor this particular institution, the Council of Population, in law, we are not doing something that is in the air. We are doing something that will ensure that this organization will continue to subsist even beyond the current administration and future administration, and it will only be possible to remove it
if another law is passed that will remove this from existence. Mr. Speaker, I therefore start by saying that is a good move and it will help anchor the functions of this council. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the draft bill that we are debating today, there is a passage that I think the clause needs to be looked at afresh. Mr. Speaker, this type of drafting has been criticized before, but I want to put it again on record, that it is wrong for someone to sit here in Nairobi and decide that the only county of the 47 counties in Kenya that needs to host a headquarter of any important institution is Nairobi. Mr. Speaker, why put it in the law that the headquarters of this organization will be Nairobi? Mr. Speaker, what should stop in future for this organization to be headquartered in Tana River County? Mr. Speaker, this kind of central thinking, kind of centralized thinking, as if we have only one county in the rest of this Kenya, we should discourage it. And the drafters in the office of the Attorney General, maybe they are old people, they need to go on retirement. They need to know that this country now has 47 counties. You don't draft a bill that subscribes the headquarters of an important organization such as this in Nairobi and make it very difficult for future counties to inherit that, that facility. Mr. Speaker, as we sit here today, there is no national headquarters in Tana River County. No building, no structure from the national headquarters. So here in Nairobi County, there are so many headquarters, there are so many institutions that are headquartered here. Why should we pass this law that says that even the National Population Council should be headed in Nairobi? Why? Mr. Speaker, new thinking needs to be injected. I represent this Senate in the Pan-African Parliament where we sit in Johannesburg on behalf of this country. Mr. Speaker, when you look at the South African setup, you have the parliament sitting in Cape Town, many miles away. You have the judiciary in Johannesburg. You have the executive in Pretoria. And this is the kind of thinking that we should have. Why should the Population Council be put here? If you don't want to bring it in Tana River, why not bring it here to Machakos? Why are you congesting Nairobi? And you are a Population Council. And you know one of your functions is to make sure that there is balanced development. Why not take it to Mombasa? Why not take it to Nakuru? Why not take it to Kisumu? Mr. Speaker, we've got to have more creative thinking within the cadres of the drafters. Don't just copy-paste old legislation that have been passed by time. I appeal to the Committee of Labor in the Senate to have a clean look of this and make an amendment. And if you don't, I will propose that amendment. We should remove that kind of old legislative drafting. But Mr. Speaker, coming to the importance of this law, this law is so critical, Mr. Speaker. It is so critical that we should have a proper population council, and it should be funded adequately. Mr. Speaker, we were in Uganda for the East African Games. And for those like me who would go out to jog outside, just there in Kampala, you would see a very nice big building that is the center of population statistics in Kampala. Kenya, we don't have that. And Mr. Speaker, this is a smaller economy by far, but they have started doing things that are even surprising us. Mr. Speaker, we should have done that. We should have passed this law a long time ago. We should give adequate facilitation, adequate funding to this organization when it is anchored in law. Why? Because, Mr. Speaker, its functions are very important. When you come to youth and employment, many of us in our age now, we have children who are graduating or are in postgraduate in university. And these children are all coming out in their thousands every year into the job market. Mr. Speaker, we need a strong population council that is anchored in law, that will be able to do planning. For example, Mr. Speaker, we'll need to have a plan on industrialization. Where are these industries supposed to be? How should we locate them? When the potential investors come to Kenya, where should they be encouraged to go? What are the demographic trends that will guide location of factories, amongst other factors? So that, Mr. Speaker, we can use the data, accurate population data, to enable proper planning for the youth population that is coming out. Mr. Speaker, health facilities. Many times, Mr. Speaker, we've had huge campaigns. We say we want to eradicate polio campaigns. We want to give mosquito nets, anti-mosquito, anti-malaria campaigns. Now, most times, Mr. Speaker, what we have seen is very unscientific and very discriminatory practices coming from the Ministry of Health headquarters. Because what they do, they say we are distributing these mosquito nets on a pilot scheme. And then the bosses there, the pilot will go to their counties. And then after 6 counties are done, you'll be told that pilot project disappeared. So then you'll find counties where malaria is actually a threat, such as Tana River County. You are not on that pilot project, you lose out. Mr. Speaker, with a strong population council, supported by law, grounded and anchored in law, and supported financially, we will have proper statistics that, Mr. Speaker, will inform government planning, will inform health planning. Mr. Speaker, even in education, how many times have we said that there are places in this country, there are counties in this Kenya, where within a radius of 50 kilometers, you have, I don't know what university, another university college, another university, another university. And Mr. Speaker, some other counties do not have a single university campus. And Mr. Speaker, Tana River County just has a plan from the Great Lakes University that this year, now they will establish a campus, the vast one. And Mr. Speaker, government planning that is skewed politically, government planning that is not informed by scientific statistics takes place because we don't have a strong population council. Mr. Speaker, we shall support this bill, and we want this bill to be a reality. Mr. Speaker, I have been to countries where they will tell you next year, in fact, we are building a new city in this direction of town.
because we need more schools that side, we need more hospitals that side, and they base it on population, accurate population data. Mr. Speaker, this is an opportunity for us to make sure that our data is very well supported. And Mr. Speaker, the beauty about this bill is that now it is creating an institution that is going to be transparent. They are going to quote everything. They are going to make everything public. You want the statistics, they'll be available. And we are going to fund them, Mr. Speaker, so that they can give a better information for all of us. Mr. Speaker, even for county planning, if we are to get accurate data, most of our counties would be able to rely on information from here to do proper county integrated planning. These plans, Mr. Speaker, inform development within our counties, which we defend and protect in this Senate. Mr. Speaker, without accurate population data, we are not able to do long-term planning like Vision 2030. We are not able to do mid-term plans. We are also not able to do county integrated planning. Mr. Speaker, we need to have this bill passed like yesterday. Now I'm standing here to support that this bill be passed with the necessary amendments that I have proposed. So when the committee sits down to look at it, they can look at those I have proposed so that the bill also caters for interests in counties, so that counties can also benefit from the facility that we are creating now and anchoring in law. Mr. Speaker, with those very many remarks, I beg to support. Thank you.
Senator Osotsi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to this bill, the Kenya National Council for Population and Development Bill 2023. Mr. Speaker, I understand that this bill is supposed to enact into law an already existing body called the National Council for Population and Development, which is existing based on the State Corporation National Council for Population and Development Order 2004, which means, Mr. Speaker, this body has actually been in existence, but what this bill is aiming to do is now to put this body as a statutory body in law. Mr. Speaker, I appreciate the need to do this because population is a very important data for this country, because population is central to our planning. Population is central to our development, and basically every aspect of our development is based on the population. For example, Mr. Speaker, when we talk about sharing revenues in our counties, the formula that we have just passed a few months back, population was a very important variable in that formula. So population helps us to determine how much each county should get. Mr. Speaker, population is also key in delimitation of our electoral areas in this country and is provided for in the Constitution. Population is also key in our budgeting to determine how resources will be shared across the country. So population is a very, very important data variable in this country. But Mr. Speaker, as has been said by the majority leader, the population data that we are relying on is incorrect, Mr. Speaker. And this was confirmed via the court ruling, that the population census data that this country is relying on is inaccurate. And Mr. Speaker, you know that a lot of government resources was used to come up with that census, and census is done after every 10 years, and it is quite surprising that a country can spend billions of money to carry out a census, only for the results of that census to be declared incorrect and invalid. I think someone should have been responsible for that mess, Mr. Speaker. But this being Kenya that we know, everything that is done in this country is never taken seriously, and people go scot-free, even where mistakes and violations of law are clearly evident. Mr. Speaker, I was reading through this bill, and I thought that I was actually in those old ages of life, many hundreds or thousands of years ago. Because, Mr. Speaker, in the modern world of data and technology, we shouldn't be struggling to know what our population is, Mr. Speaker. You can imagine that this country takes 10 years, and then they conduct a survey called the census, which does not give good results, and then 20 years later, they discover that they have been relying on wrong data as their population. Mr. Speaker, in the modern world, it's very easy to determine what your population is at the click of a button, Mr. Speaker. How do countries with a huge population like India and China determine their population? They don't do census, Mr. Speaker. It is very easy to know how many Kenyans are there, because when a child is born, he's given a birth certificate. When someone dies, he's given a death certificate or a burial permit. Where does this data go to, Mr. Speaker? Where does this data go to? When kids go to school, they are registered in schools. Where does this data go to, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, we wouldn't be wasting a lot of money conducting census to determine our population when we sit on this data every day, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I believe it would be very easy to know almost to perfection the population of this country if this country invested in data management. And Mr. Speaker, countries that are succeeding globally are countries which have invested in data management. The United States, Mr. Speaker, will continue to be a superpower in this world because they have invested in data. That is why they are even paying to get our health data, because they understand the importance of data. We are in this confusion, Mr. Speaker, because we do not know how to tap our data, Mr. Speaker, how to manage our data. Why would you have a body composed of 13 people on the board, on the council, and they still cannot be able to determine the population of the country, Mr. Speaker? When you can determine this by a click of a button, Mr. Speaker. When we talk about road to Singapore, how are we going to reach Singapore when simple things like determining our population, we cannot do them, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, if I had a way of advising this government, I would advise them to invest, maybe have a national data center where all the data that is collected is harmonized, and that data used to determine a number of things, including population. And I know there was an initiative during Kibaki's time when they started something called integrated population data management, which was linking actually the Department of Birth, Death, it was linking IBC, it was linking national ID registration and the others. What happened to that exercise? If that exercise was done very well, Mr. Speaker, then we wouldn't be struggling with the population to know how many are we in this country, where is every Kenyan in this country. It would be by click of a button. So I want to advise this government for free that they need to take seriously the issue of data, because data is the next oil for this world. Without that, we will be engaging in pointless and expensive exercise like what we are doing, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, for instance, right now, we are struggling with a voter register. We don't know who is alive and who is dead in that voter register. And yet we are sitting on that data. The office that registers death knows who has died in this country. The office that registers birth knows who has been born in this country. Our Ministry of Education has a system, NEMIS or something, that knows who has registered in a school, at what age, who is going to secondary, all that data. You are telling me, Mr. Speaker, we cannot analyze that data to determine important variables like population, or to determine, even with a click of a button, who is supposed to be a voter and who is not supposed to be a voter. IBC is now asking for billions of money, Mr. Speaker, to conduct voter registration, when all they need is to invest in technology and get this data by a click of a button, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, as someone who has vast knowledge in technology and IT, I want to advise this government, which promises to go to Singapore, I don't know on foot or how, that Senator Mungatana is saying by air. I don't know how they will go if we cannot do these simple things, Mr. Speaker, because I believe that going to Singapore is not just brick and mortar, Mr. Speaker, but some of these things, simple things, can aid our going to Singapore very easily if we have the right data in place. And we'll do a lot of saving. For example, what is really the function of this board, Mr. Speaker? When the same work they are doing can be done by other government departments. For example, when I look through this bill, it reads like another bill we passed here for National Bureau of Statistics, Mr. Speaker. The Ministry of Planning conducts some of these things. This can as well be a department within the Ministry of Planning, Mr. Speaker. Why should it be an independent statutory body, Mr. Speaker? Why do we keep on contradicting ourselves as a country? A few months back, we were told that they were going to merge various parastatals to reduce on the wage bill and also to reduce on government expenditure. But instead of implementing that report, Mr. Speaker, we are now seeing them create additional statutory bodies and parastatal. When you look at it, you wonder, Mr. Speaker, are we serious as a country? This is probably a function that can be done through a meeting, Mr. Speaker, When I look at the list of people who are on the council, half of them are government officers who can sit in their offices and make decisions on these things, Mr. Speaker, without wanting us to spend exchequer to run a body that ideally should not exist, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm expressing my frustrations because sometimes you look at the kind of wastages we do in our government or in our public life, and you wonder, why would we spend, like I'm sure this body will be given maybe, to be modest, at least 500 million shillings every year. Mr. Speaker, that money can go to construct classroom in Vihiga, Tana River, or Bungoma, Mr. Speaker. But we are paying people to do the job that they must be doing. When I look at the list of the council members, I see the PS for health, I see PS for basic education, I see the Attorney General, I see. Why can't they just sit in their offices and do a meeting and have these things done, Mr. Speaker, without occasioning the need to set up a parastatal or a body that is going to consume money, Mr. Speaker? So, Mr. Speaker, even as I support this bill, I have to voice my concerns on the plunder of resources in our government through establishing some of the bodies which ideally duplicate the work of other bodies within government. Mr. Speaker, coming to the issues of population in our counties, I think one of the most important innovative things that the Senate should do is to give capability to our counties to also participate in determining population of their own counties. Because the current population data that we have is wrong. For example, when I look at my own county, where they say our population is around 600,000 people. But ideally, we are over 1 million people, Mr. Speaker. So counties must have a strong say in determining population for their respective counties. Mr. Speaker, even as we talk about counties, Mr. Speaker, allow me, because we are talking about population, and therefore population goes with the resources. And the resources goes with accountability. Mr. Speaker, the issue of accountability must now become a very important factor in appropriating money to our counties. And I think maybe, Mr. Speaker, the Finance Committee should lead the way, that the formula for division of revenue to our counties, we must find a way of incorporating an element of accountability. There are counties that receive a lot of resources that are passed by this Senate, and they are not accountable, Mr. Speaker. They spend all that money through corruption, Mr. Speaker. And when this House questions their corruption, they come out fighting, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm surprised that the governors issued a statement saying that they are not going to appear before this House. And they made it loud. But some of them have been approaching us. They have been approaching our committees and telling us, please, Chair, give me a good date when I am coming. Give me a good time when I should come. But when they go to the public, they want to play to the gallery and say, senators, we are harassing them. Even the chair of COG, who is a very notorious governor, Mr. Speaker, in terms of appearance before Senate, he has written to CPAC asking for an earlier date. But outside there, he is cheating his other governors to boycott coming to the Senate. We have said, Mr. Speaker, and Mr. Speaker, this is not out of tune with what we are discussing, because population is part of the shareable revenue. we have said any governor that refuses to come to pick and pack committee, that governor number one is going to pay for the expenses of the meeting. He is going to pay for the allowances of the support staff who come from COG, from COB, from OAG, from EACC, from Treasury. And he's also going to pay our allowances for sitting in those meetings. Number two, Mr. Speaker, we are going to recommend to this House that those particular counties which are notorious, which will not appear before these two committees, those counties should be left out from the disbursement schedules that we are going to pass, be it shareable revenue or be it additional allocation that we are going to pass. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, we must find a way of incorporating accountability component in our formula so that the counties which are notorious in plundering of resources or which are not appearing in Senate or which have bad audit reports, Mr. Speaker, those counties must also face the pinch of not being accountable, Mr. Speaker. And those governors must be ashamed for their action, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, this House has to be firm. In fact, I was just discussing with my colleague of PAC, Senator Kajwang, that is a high time that this House came up with a list of shame. To shame those governors who have bad audit report and have a bad record of appearing before the Senate to respond to issues. Mr. Speaker, if we do this, we will be instilling discipline in our counties. And Mr. Speaker, before I end, EACC, the EACC, where are they, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, if you look at our report, nearly all the reports we have recommended that EACC investigates.
Senator Otsotsi, unfortunately your time is up and the chair will not allow you to extend. You have made your point. Take your seat. Senator Wafula Wakoli.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity and members for your contribution. I want to pick up from what my brother from Vihiga County has said, that wherever we are discussing issues of revenue allocation, Honorable Speaker, and all of us senators have always been up in arms that our population is rising, the pressure on the exchequer is rising, and many other parameters that we apply to distribute the resources. That is the time our good friends, the Council of Governors, will always be nice, gentlemen and ladies, courteous, religious, African in nature, just because the coin is dangling and the coin must be delivered to them. But when it arrives, Honorable Speaker, our good friends become vultures. They become vagabonds, Honorable Speaker. And I want to pick it there and say that not only CPIC and PAC that are sharpening their legislative knives, Mheshimiwa Mugatana, you know this, that any other committee in the Senate is not ceremonial. All committees have the legal tools and ammunition to deal with truant governors hiding under the Council of Governors. So as a chair, former living chairman of agriculture, we will now even go deeper into the details, the matrix, the logistics that are put in those committees that we lead. So that as much as Osotsi and Senator Kajwang are squeezing them, we are also going to milk them and ensure that the taxpayers' money is protected. For example, Honorable Speaker, you find somebody saying, we have 6,000 peasant farmers in a county. But when you ask them to give you data of the farmers, Honorable Speaker, they fake the ID numbers and the names and with dry eyes table those documents to Senate. Honorable Speaker, this bill is going to give us the legal apparatus to be able to manage this situation. We have a program, Honorable Speaker, of governors feeding children, ECD children, Honorable Speaker. When you ask them, what data are you relying on to feed these young children? They don't have any. Some of the county governments do not even facilitate these young children to get birth certificates. But they are busy running with packets of flour, packets of milk, sacks of rice. But when you go to the real figures on the ground, some of those children have never seen a cup of porridge. So we are saying this bill is good. We support it. There is room for improvement. But it is also going to allow the Senate to oversight county government based on figures, not emotions, not titles. And therefore, I want to support this and ask honorable senators in all our committees, figures don't lie, populations don't lie, numbers don't lie. And therefore, we must be able to dispense our duties properly. Finally, Honorable Speaker, we have heard the Ministry of Education saying they are losing billions for ghost schools. It again shows that the population matrix in Kenya has a problem. We even don't know how many foreigners are in this country because, again, the immigration system probably has a problem. So this institution is key in running government ministries, ensuring that the vital national security installations are well catered for. The planning for this country as we move to the trajectory that the president wants us to go is well tailored, and this country will not regret. Finally, for where I come from, I will be keenly following. They are soon going to give free fertilizer and seedlings inputs to farmers. I will want to see the population index, the parameters that they will be benevolently giving farmers these things. Is it anchored in law or anchored in a good heart disguised? You know, a good heart, but more of an appetite for a tender of supplying fertilizer and a tender for supplying seedlings, and not for the interest of the poor person at the grassroots. So I call upon the people of Bungoma and the people of Kenya to be keen on figures, keen on statistics, keen on population, because there is no allocation of funds that is not directly proportional to the populations that we are talking about. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I support.
Thank you, Senator Wakoli. I have no other member requesting to contribute to this particular bill, and in the absence of the leader of majority who is supposed to reply, we will defer reply to this motion to the next sitting of the House, so that we progress. Clerk, you will call the next order.
Order number 13, the Wildlife Conservation and Management Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 46 of 2023, second reading.
This is a motion by Senator Jones Maruma, MP, who is also not in the House. That is deferred. That order is deferred. Next order.
Order number 14, the Wildlife Conservation and Management Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 49 of 2023, second reading.
Senator Seki is not present in the chamber. That bill is also deferred to the next sitting. Next order.
Order number 15, the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Control Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 1 of 2024, second reading.
Equally, Senator Kathuri Murungui is not present in the chamber. The order is deferred to the next sitting. We call the next order.
Order number 16, the Culture Bill, National Assembly Bills number 12 of 2024, second reading.
The leader of majority, who is supposed to move this, is not present. Deferred. Let's proceed to the next order.
Order number 17, the County Wards Equitable Development Bill, Senate Bills number 20 of 2024, second reading.
Senator Karungu Thangwa has been here, but he's just moved out of the chamber. In his absence, that bill is also deferred from today's business. The next order, please.
Order number 18, the Livestock Protection and Sustainability Bill, Senate Bills number 32 of 2024, second reading.
Senator Dr. Lelengwe is absent in the chamber. That order is deferred. Now, honorable senators, there being no other business on the order paper, the Senate stands adjourned until tomorrow, Thursday, 12th of February, 2026 at 2:30 p.m.
Of supplying fertilizer and a tender for supplying seedlings and not for the interest of the poor person at the grassroots. So I call upon the people of Bungoma and the people of Kenya to be keen on figures, keen on statistics, keen on population, because there is no allocation of funds that is not directly proportional to the populations that we are talking about. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I support.
Thank you, Senator Wakoli. I have no other member requesting to contribute to this particular bill, and in the absence of the leader of majority who is supposed to reply, we will defer reply to this motion to the next sitting of the House, so that we progress. Clerk, you will call the next order.
Order number 13, the Wildlife Conservation and Management Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 46 of 2023, second reading.
This is a motion by Senator Jones Maruma, MP, who is also not in the House. That is deferred. That order is deferred. Next order.
Order number 14, the Wildlife Conservation and Management Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 49 of 2023, second reading.
Senator Seki is not present in the chamber. That bill is also deferred to the next sitting. Next order.
Order number 15, the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Control Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 1 of 2024, second reading.
Equally, Senator Kathuri Murungwi is not present in the chamber. The order is deferred to the next sitting. We call the next order.
Order number 16, the Culture Bill, National Assembly Bills number 12 of 2024, second reading.
The leader of majority who is supposed to move this is not present. Deferred. Let's proceed to the next order.
Order number 17, the County Wards Equitable Development Bill, Senate Bills number 20 of 2024, second reading.
Senator Karungu Thangwa has been here, but he's just moved out of the chamber. In his absence, that bill is also deferred. from today's business. The next order, please.
Order number 18, the Livestock Protection and Sustainability Bill, Senate Bills number 32 of 2024, second reading.
Senator Dr. Lelengwe is absent in the chamber. That order is deferred. Now, honorable senators, there being no other business on the order paper, the Senate stands adjourned until tomorrow, Thursday, 12th of February, 2026 at 2:30 p.m.
Don't even write about it. But we're not spending money, but we are spending a lot of time trying to get the war solved. If we can get the war solved, we'll be very happy. As far as rare earth, that's very unimportant relative. I'm trying to save lives.
On DC crime, sir. On DC crime.
Do you have a message for the Democrat lawmakers like Nancy Pelosi or media who are saying, after living here for many years, that there is no crime and you're trying to start a new news cycle?
It's another reason why the Democrats lost the election in a landslide. They lie. It's just lie. Look, the crime is very bad. I think they'd be much better off saying We want to help President Trump with the crime because it's an epidemic. It's a tragic situation. It's the worst it's ever been. And we want to help President Trump with the crime as opposed to, he's a dictator, he's a dictator. People are so happy to see our military going into D.C. and getting these thugs out. As you know, we arrested